Whether you're trying to heal through dungeons or you're trying to get ready for those 2-star dungeons, welcome back to the channel all about healing. My name is Teddy and today I'm going to be showing you my build in preparation for the new 2-star dungeons when they come eventually. So if you enjoy the Throne of Liberty content, be sure to subscribe, turn on all those notifications, check the channel out for more, and without wasting any more time, let's jump right into my current build for healing in Throne of Liberty. Healing in Throne of Liberty is extremely easy, but with the 2-star dungeons coming up, damage might be a little bit heavier. So, in preparations for the new dungeons coming, I've changed my build around and we're going to take a look at the stats first. Starting off, I put 17 points into Wisdom. With all of my gear, this will give me at least 50 Wisdom, which will give me that cooldown 5%. Next, I focused on Dexterity with putting 11 points into this. This will give me at least 40 Dexterity and gives me that bonus 15 damage. Next, I only had to put 4 into my Perception. This will unlock that buff duration 5% and gives me a 100 hit chance. And lastly, I put the remainder of points into Strength so I have a little harder hit. These can be adjusted on the fly to reflect your gear. If you guys have a different gear makeup, this is just what I'm using, and I suggest playing around with it to see what better works out and is better suited for whatever you're choosing to do. Now let's go down my skills, and keep in mind, all of these should be maxed out. The higher the level, the more bonuses back that you do get. But starting off, I chose Chaotic Shield. This will give me an opportunity to go ahead and apply a weaken, and if I get a perfect block, I can heal either the target or myself. Because I'm choosing bow and I'm having some type of DPS, I'm choosing Deadly Marker because this will increase our crit hit chance and our normal hit chance if spec'd into it. The next skill I chose is Decisive Sniping. This will do some damage, and also, once hit, it will increase my critical hit, followed by Strafing. Strafing is another good skill for DPS, and it will apply a bullseye effect, which will buff up all my other longbow skills. Next is Zephyr's Knock. Other than auto attack, this is going to be my main source of attacking. This will consume all the bullseye stacks, because I know the wand and bow effects are coming in once T2 armor is placed into the game. I'm already going to try to play into the style of Nature's Blessing. Nature's Blessing is mainly used to remove a weaken effect, but what I'm using it for my build is that increased health regen and mana regen. Followed up with Healing Touch. When using Healing Touch and Nature's Blessing, you increase the health regen by a lot, and this will serve as one of the main ways to heal. As for my passive healing, I'm going to throw Touch of Despair on. This will apply a weaken and doesn't affect any sleeping targets. The more stacks that are on a target, the more passive healing that can be done if skilled into it. Next is Karmic Haze, which I personally like to use to spread around my weaken so that I can go ahead and have more passive healing. Another bow skill is going to be my Omnipotent Flash Wave. If traded, this can do a massive passive heal and do some damage. As for Swift Healing, I chose to bump this down as a backup heal. When the wand and bow nerf does come, this will share the same cooldown as our Healing Touch. For everyone that's all concerned about the wand and bow nerf coming real soon, no, that's Korea's build. We have not yet gotten up to Korea's build yet, so just wait, relax, and enjoy your swift healing for now. So, to get any idea of not really using it, I like to keep this as a backup. If you do have the Excavator wand, this can be a massive backup heal. As for my party healing, there's only one, which is Clay Salvation. Lastly, we have the Fountain of Life. I think every healing build should use the Fountain of Life just because of how much mana and healing it can get back if people are standing in the circle. As for my passive skills, we have Earth's Blessing, which will increase my health regen and health recovery over time from skills by 30%. This is a massive skill, which you should go ahead and max out all of the passive skills. For my build, because I'm using the health regen, this is going to be one of the massive skills I'm going to keep on my list. Next, we have Noble Revival. This will increase our skill heal per 1000 max mana. The more mana you have, the more skill healing it will give back. Another skill that I will have to keep on my bar just because of how that passive healing does play into my whole entire build. The Vampiric Contract will restore allies' health for a certain amount of percentage for the damage dealt on a victim with the user's curse. If there's no allies around, this will heal you instead. This is great, especially when everyone's piled up on the boss and taking damage. If they have high enough DPS, there's more healing that's given back to them. Next is going to be Selfless Soul. Again, this is going to grant more health regen back on all of my skills, followed up by Devotion and Emptiness. This will increase our skill heals and decrease our cooldowns during the day, but if you're out during the night, this will increase your skill damage and decrease your curse skill cooldowns. Either way, this is great for healing and great for DPS because the 2-star dungeons are going to be hitting a lot harder. My melee, ranged, and magic endurance is going to be increased with the distorted sanctuary. Not to mention, the health recovery over time from skills is increased per party member, including the user within 16-meter radius. I'm going to be using this for my health regen skills, and not to mention, like I said, those 2-star dungeons are going to be hitting a lot harder, so that endurance will play in. The rapid fire stance is going to come in handy, especially when remaining still. This will increase my ranged hit chance, magic hit chance, and melee hit chance. Not to mention, this will increase my attack speed too. This will only come in effect when you're remaining still. If you move, it will remain active 2 seconds after, so make sure to stop and continue attacking. Lastly, I have Sniper Sense. For this one, each 1 meter distance away from the target increases magic, melee, and range crit hit chance, and the crit damage by a certain percentage. This is great when everyone is grouped up on the boss and you're standing in a very far back. Though, keep in mind, if you are relying on any of the wand skills, you will have to move a little bit closer just in case. As for the skill specializations, we have Zephyr's Knock. For Zephyr's Knock, I chose to increase the damage when the target has a gale effect. It will consume the gale effect, but it will increase the additional damage by 25% of the base. I took cooldown. Attacking a target with the bullseye stacks consumes 1 bullseye stack, and the remaining cooldown decreases by 6% per stack. For decisive sniping, I chose to go with charging time to increase the maximum charge time and that max damage, and mobility just so that I can go ahead and snipe while being on the move. For strafing, I chose Gale so I can apply Gale onto a target. Nature's Blessing, I chose Vitality. While Nature's Blessing and Healing Touch are active on a friendly target, the target continuously heals for 130% of the base damage per 30 seconds and increases health regen by 100, then additionally boosted by 50. Speaking of Healing Touch, I chose Duration Increased. Applying Flash Wave to a party member affected by the user's Healing Touch increases Healing Touch duration by 6%. Additional Healing Recovery. When the effect ends, it recovers an additional 100% of the base damage plus 10 per stack. And lastly, I chose Mana Cost Reduction, which will reduce it by 30% because this is going to be our main source of healing. As for Flash Arrow, I chose to turn it into Flash Wave, which will change it into a healing skill, and I chose to increase the effect duration. This will increase the Flash Arrow stun duration, but what I'm using this for is the Flash Wave's continuous recovery duration increase. As for our wand, I chose to spec into Touch of Despair. Here, I increased the radius by 3 meters and inflicts additional 2 to nearby targets. I also increased the effect duration by 3 seconds, and I chose Curse for a 50% chance to apply 2 stacks. The only other one I chose to spec into is Fountain of Life for that mana recovery and the radius increase. As for our Longbow Mastery, I chose to spec into the whole support line. This will give us max health, magic defense, health regen, movement speed, buff duration, skill damage resist, which will help out for the new dungeons, magic evasion, perception, and CC resistance, which really, I don't need. I can take that out and put it, say, into range critical hit. After that, I chose to go into sniping. This will increase the range hit chance, crit chance, bonus damage, more base damage, increase skill boost chance, attack speed, range crit hit chance, and lastly, that critical damage. As for Wand Mastery, I chose to spec into damage first so I can go ahead and inflict some type of damage while switching off to my wand when I need more cooldown speed. This will give me more base damage, curse damage, skill boost damage, mana regen, cooldown speed, wisdom, and lastly, even more cooldown speed. After that, I will spec into all of recovery to help out with that cooldown speed and that buff duration. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to mastery, your main hand mastery will not come into effect if you have your secondary equipped, and your secondary won't come into effect if you have your main hand. Now, let's talk about gear. Before anyone gets angry down in the comments below telling me how I'm not telling you where to find any of the gear, by opening your crafting menu and hitting the acquired from allows you to see where all of the items can be obtained from, not to mention clicking the map and any of the bosses will show you all of the items that will drop on said bosses. And if you're still having trouble looking for any piece of armor, they can also be bought off the auction house too, but I highly recommend not doing this with the new content coming out, being able to drop a lot of the armor pieces. Like I told you, the bread and butter of this build is going to be the wand and bow, and for this one I chose to have Aelion's Rejuvenating Longbow. Not only does this have dexterity and hit chance, but this also has the Grand Aelion's Blessing skill, which restores 110 health on hit with the longbow skill for 6 seconds. Health recovery increases by 100% during rain, and there's a 30-second cooldown. One good thing about this skill is the fact that if you have more skill heal, this will heal more than that 110. Ideally, for the traits, you want to have hit chance, heavy attack, and crit hit to ensure you can get all of those hits off and heal passively with that Grand Aelion's Blessing. If you're not able to get Aelion's Rejuvenating Longbow, using the Carnax bow is viable. This will have the Carnax's Eye. This will increase range by 9% for the user and their whole entire party. This also comes with strength and crit hit. Again, for the traits, heavy attack, crit hit, and hit chance to increase all that damage and ensure that you can do more passive heals. Moving on, we have my wand. I chose the Laquarius Coveted Tome just because I can't get the Excavator wand, but this comes with Laquarius's Ambush. When the user's health falls below 20%, you become stealth for 3 seconds, but it comes with a 120-second cooldown. What's great about this wand is it comes with Wisdom, Perception, and crit hit chance. Ideally, you want to go with hit, crit hit, and heavy attack chance, but if you can't get lucky enough to get the hit trait, buff duration will come in secondary. Everything else is pretty much useless. Now, like I mentioned about the Excavator wand, this is going to be our best in slot, especially with moving into our new 2-star dungeons. This comes with strength and max mana, but most importantly, the Excavator Breath. This will give additional 380 health heal per 6 seconds when using Swift Healing skill on allies with 40% or lower health, and comes with a 30-second cooldown. This is going to be perfect with having our Swift Heal having the same cooldown as our Healing Touch in the near future, and as I like to play with my Swift Heals on backup and only for backup heals, this could increase the strength of that backup heal for those really, really dire moments. When it comes to the armor and the accessories, there's one thing to keep in mind: your base stat will always be the most important. So with that in mind, I chose the Swirling Essence Hat. This will give me Wisdom, Weaken Chance, and cooldown speed so I can heal a lot better. And because I know the dungeons are going to be hitting a lot harder, I chose magic endurance, melee endurance, and cooldown speed. Next, I chose the Ascendant Guardian Raiment for the perception, max health, and stamina regen. That stamina regen is perfect for blocking and applying those weakens. For this, I am going to be going with melee and magic endurance, not to mention increasing that buff with buff duration. For pants, I plan to go with the Swirling Essence pants, but for now I am using the Breeches of the Executioner. This will give me dexterity, wisdom, and more stamina regen. Once I get more trait conversion stones, I will be changing out the ranged evasion and endurance for magic and trying to give me maybe more health regen or whatever other trait I can find for these until I can switch out. As for the cape, there's only one that you can go for, which is going to be the Supreme Devotion. I chose this because it has crit hit chance, mana regen, and cooldown speed. Even though it does not give me a base stat, I did choose max mana, mana regen, and skill damage resistance to help out with those big AoEs that the bosses plan to do. As for the gloves, I chose the Ascendant Guardian Gloves for the 2-set bonus. This will give me perception and mana cost efficiency. I chose melee endurance, max mana, and attack speed. Like I said, for the 2-set, it will give you cooldown speed 7.5%. Next, for the boots, I chose a Swirling Essence for the 2-set bonus, giving me perception, crit hit, and more stamina regen. For the traits, I chose magic and melee evasion. Then I'm thinking I'm gonna go with movement speed. This will give the 2-set effect weaken duration 7.5, which is great for applying those weakens and giving passive heals. Moving on, we have the Wrapped Coin Necklace. I chose this because it gives wisdom, max mana, and mana regen. The 2-star dungeons are going to be hitting a lot harder, so I'm going to make sure to have skill damage reduction, and I think I might put max mana. Next, the Ancient Ceridoma Bracers are good with having dexterity, mana regen, and ranged evasion for those dungeons. Unfortunately, I got debuff duration, which might come in handy for the new dungeons, I'm not really sure, mana regen, and max mana. As for the rings, I know I said base damage is a lot better, but I chose the Abyssal Grace Band just because it has that added attack speed and the mana cost efficiency. I traded it out with max mana, skill damage boost, and mana regen. Skill damage boost does apply to healing, so it is a perfect trait to get and max it out. Next, we have our best in slot, the Sapphire Dimensional Band. This will increase our attack range, wisdom, and perception. I chose max health, buff duration, and skill damage boost. Lastly, for my belt, I chose the Girdle of the Spectral Skulls. This will give me ranged defense, dexterity, and mana regen. I will try to go for the skill damage reduction, mana regen, and probably max mana. As for my guardian, I'm choosing to use a Lady Knight Kamache. She will create a shield for 50% of the user's max mana, so the more mana that I have, the more shield that is applied. The cooldown speed is increased by 40% while the shield is active, and the summon ends once the shield is removed. So the more mana you have, the better your shield, and the more cooldown speed you can acquire. Now, you can't go into healing without at least knowing what rotation I do, right? So what I like to do is, if the target is in range, I like to do Touch of Despair to get our early passive healing started and get that dot spread around. If there's enough targets, I like to apply Karmic Haze to spread it around for more passive healing. Then Flash Wave the whole group so that you get even more passive healing while damaging everyone. Applying Deadly Marker on your first target, followed up with Decisive Sniping. Next, apply Strafing. This can be done once or twice, and then finish it off with Zephyr's Knock. If the mobs are hitting you extra hard, make sure to apply Nature's Blessing and Healing Touch. Once everything's on cooldown, I like to switch off to the wand to increase my cooldowns, apply more Touch of Despair, then switch back and rinse, lather, and repeat. If everyone is taking too much damage, apply a Clay Salvation. Under the tank should go a Fountain of Life, or if anyone's using way too much mana during the boss fight, place a Fountain of Life under them. And if your tank is still taking way too much damage, the swift healing can be done, but I only do it if your Nature's Blessing is still on cooldown. But keep in mind, this will work out better if you have that Excavator for the skill to increase the swift healing by 40%. Other than that, Healing Touch and all of my bow skills should passively heal, not to mention the Touch of Despair. I hope this helps you start getting an idea of what type of healing build that you want to go into once new dungeons are out, or if you guys are just looking for something to run right now. I don't recommend buying anything off the auction house with the new dungeons coming, dropping all of the gear that wasn't previously available other than from the guild bosses or the world bosses. But I've been enjoying Throne of Liberty, and I can't wait to run these new dungeons, see how hard they are, and try my luck at getting all of those other sets that I've been trying to fill out. But with all of that out of the way, I will see you guys out there in the next one. Keep healing out there, everyone.